Get out of here, you witch! You killed my son, Kofi. What else do you want? Do you want to kill me too? You didn't even bear him a child, and now you've taken him away. Ama's voice thundered through the compound. Her face twisted in rage. Her only son, Kofi, was dead. He had been fine one moment, and then, suddenly, a sharp pain in his stomach had left him writhing in agony. By the time they rushed him to the hospital, it was too late. The doctors had confirmed it: food poisoning. And Kofi's last words were, "I only ate the food Essie gave me. I don't eat out." To Ama, that was enough evidence. Her daughter in law, Essie, was responsible for her son's death. Her only son, the pride of her life, was gone, and Ama's grief had turned into venom. Without thinking, she gathered her friends, neighbors who had always been suspicious of Essie, and together they stormed into the house. Essie, still numb from the shock of losing her husband, was thrown out like a criminal. "Leave!" they shouted. "You are not welcome here. You killed him." Essie wept, but no one cared. In their eyes, she was a murderer. They threw her belongings into the street, and Amma watched with cold eyes as the young widow was cast out of her home. What no one knew was that Essie was already pregnant with Kofi's child. She had planned to share the news with him that very week. But now, with him gone and his mother's cruelty, she kept the secret to herself. Essie couldn't bear to tell Amma, not after the way she had been treated. She wandered the streets, clutching her stomach and praying for her unborn child. Despite everything, she vowed to live for the life growing inside her. Back in the village, Ama's grief hardened into bitterness. She couldn't stop thinking about Kofi, the way he had suffered, and the betrayal she felt from Essie. Kofi had been her only child, and now she had nothing left. The thought that her daughter-in-law could have done such a thing gnawed at her soul. But even as she clung to her anger, a small seed of doubt began to take root. What if she was wrong? Amma couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with questions she had refused to ask before. Why would Essie kill Kofi? They had been married for years. Though they hadn't had children, their relationship had seemed strong. And Essie had always been kind. Amma remembered how she had prepared Kofi's meals with such care. But the doctors had been clear. It was food poisoning that killed him. One restless night, Amma decided to look through some of Kofi's belongings. She hoped to find comfort, but instead, she stumbled upon something she had forgotten about: a small security camera tucked in the corner of the kitchen. It had been installed months ago by Kofi, a safety measure after some petty thefts in the area. Her hands shook as she pulled up the footage from the day Kofi died. She watched intently as Essie prepared his meals just as she has described. For a moment, Essie left the kitchen, and that's when Amma saw something that made her heart stop. Akosua, the maid, crept into the kitchen, glancing around nervously. Amma's eyes widened in horror as she watched the maid pour a strange liquid into the food. Amma couldn't believe her eyes. It wasn't Essie, it was Akosua, her trusted maid. Her trusted maid had poisoned Kofi. But why? What possible reason could she have had? The next morning, Amma confronted Akosua, her voice trembling with anger and confusion. At first, Akosua denied everything. But when Amma mentioned the hidden camera, the maid's face went pale. Cornered, Akosua finally confessed, her voice breaking as she revealed the dark truth. Akosua had been working in Kofi and Essie's household for years. Kofi had been a good man in Ama's eyes, but he had a dark side. He had been unfaithful to Essie and had been making advances on Akosua. She had refused him for months, but one day, while Essie was away, Kofi had forced himself on her. Akosua, he threatened to ruin me if I told anyone. I had no choice but to keep quiet. But the story didn't end there. Akosua became pregnant as a result of the assault. When Kofi found out, he demanded that she get rid of the baby. He threatened her again, saying that if she didn't, he would destroy her life. Terrified, Akosua went through the procedure, but something went wrong. The doctors had made a mistake, and Akosua was told she could never bear children again. He took everything from me, my dignity, my child, and my future, so I took his life, Akosua said. Amma stood frozen, her mind racing. This was the son she had raised, a man who had assaulted their maid, threatened her, and caused her to lose her ability to have children. The weight of the truth crashed down on her, and suddenly her anger at Essie felt misplaced. She had wronged her daughter-in-law, accused her of a crime she didn't commit, and cast her out into the world with nothing. Akosua was arrested that day, her face emotionless as the police took her away. But Amma's heart was heavy with guilt. She had been so blinded by her grief that she hadn't stopped to think. She had lost Kofi, but she had also lost Essie, someone who had been nothing but kind to her. She had to make things right. Then Amma heard a rumor. The neighbors whispered that Essie was pregnant. Amma couldn't believe it. Could it be true? Could there still be a piece of Kofi in this world growing inside Essie? Desperate to know the truth, Amma set out to find her daughter-in-law. When she found her, Essie was living quietly in a small city, far from the place that had brought her so much pain. At first, Essie was weary. She hadn't expected Amma to come, and she wasn't ready to forgive the woman who had caused her so much suffering. But when Amma asked about the baby, Essie hesitated. Could she trust her mother-in-law again? Amma's eyes softened, and for the first time, Essie saw the regret behind the woman's fierce exterior. I was wrong. I know I was wrong, Essie. Please, I need to know. Is it true? Is Kofi's child alive in you? Amma asked her. Essie looked down at her stomach, her hand resting protectively over the small bump. Finally, she nodded. Yes, it is true. But what does it matter to you now? Amma's tears fell freely. She had lost so much, but this was her chance at redemption. She had driven Essie away, accused her of murder, but now she wanted to make amends. The question now is, would Essie forgive her? Would she allow Amma to be a part of her grandchild's life? Or would the pain of the past be too much to overcome? And if she did forgive, would Amma truly change? Or would her old bitterness return once the child was born? Find out in part 2. Subscribe to the channel for more interesting and captivating stories like this.